Unlocking Genesis abundance through Christ's original design. I used to chase abundance only to find myself hitting walls. Then, I revisited Genesis with a fresh pair of eyes, and what I discovered changed everything. This isn't just another Bible study, it's a groundbreaking journey into Christ's original design for an overflowing life, straight from the beginning of creation. We're about to debug your reality. And the very first line of code we need to examine, the foundational truth that changes everything, is this: the original blueprint ain't broken. Let's get one thing straight right out the gate. Most of us, we walk around feeling like something's off, like the system is corrupted. We pray, we affirm, we work hard, and when things don't pop off the way we expected, what's the first thought that creeps in? Man, I must have messed up. God must be mad at me. The universe is withholding from me. We internalize the failure of the system. We think we are the bug. But that's the oldest trick in the book, and it's a total lie. Think about the Genesis story, the real one before all the drama kicked off. The "let there be light" moment. Was that a hesitant suggestion? Was it a maybe? Nah, it was a sovereign, authoritative, and absolutely effective declaration. And it was followed by a whole series of them, each one bringing forth something perfect, whole, and complete. God looked at everything he made and called it very good. Not kinda good, not good for now, but very good. That's the original design. That's the baseline operating system for reality itself. So if you're walking around feeling like you're fundamentally flawed, like your very existence is a problem that needs to be solved, you're already operating from a corrupted file. You're trying to run a exe program on an abundance, Oz machine, and it's causing all sorts of errors. The stress, the anxiety, the feeling that you're not enough. That's not a feature of the original design. That's a virus you downloaded from the world. This is the core of the Christ message. Not to come and fix a broken God or to appease an angry deity, but to reveal and restore the truth of our being that was there from the very beginning. Christ consciousness is that moment of remembering the original code. It's the realization that your true self, the I am of you, is not separate from that creative, abundant source. The connection was never severed. You just think it was. Your life, right here and right now, with all its perceived problems and shortcomings, is still operating within that very good framework. The abundance isn't something you need to go out and get like it's a limited edition drop you have to fight for. It's the very ground you're standing on. It's the air you're breathing. The problem is never on the supply side. The supply is infinite, wired directly into the fabric of creation. The glitch is always in our receiver, in our perception, in our belief that we are separate, unworthy, or outside of that original, perfect design. So when you find yourself struggling, when you feel that pinch of lack, don't ask, "God, why have you forsaken me?" That's the wrong question. The real question is, where did I download the lie that I was ever separate from the source to begin with? The real question is, where did I download the lie that I was ever separate from the source to begin with? And that lie, that single corrupted file, is the mother of all glitches. It's the virus we call scarcity. So let's get into it. Keynote number 2, scarcity is a glitch in your perception. Let's break this down. Think about your phone for a second. You're scrolling, everything's smooth, and then bam, the screen freezes. The app crashes. Now, is the internet broken? Is the entire global digital infrastructure down? Of course not. The problem is local. It's a software hiccup, a memory leak, a glitch in your device's perception of the limitless data available to it. That's scarcity. It's not a universal truth. It's a local processing error in your own consciousness. We walk around looking at our reality through this frozen, buffering screen, and we swear up and down that there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough opportunities, not enough love. We see life as a zero-sum game, a pie with only so many slices, and we're in a brutal, silent competition with everyone else for our piece. This mindset is so baked into our culture, it's the water we swim in. We're hustling for crumbs, completely blind to the fact that the whole bakery is ours to operate. This is the great illusion, the mist, that rose from the earth in the second Genesis story, obscuring the perfect, finished garden of the first. Scarcity consciousness is that mist. It makes you believe in limits where none exist in the original design. It has you praying for a blessing from a God you perceive as sometimes giving and sometimes withholding, when the fundamental truth is that God, as the source, can only give. It's his or its entire nature. To imagine a moment of not giving is to imagine a sun that doesn't shine or an ocean that isn't wet. The feeling of lack is not a reflection of your reality, it is only ever a perfect reflection of what you currently believe about your reality. So when you feel that knot in your stomach looking at your bank account, or that anxiety about the future, you're not feeling a financial truth. You're feeling the dissonance of the glitch. You're feeling the conflict between the truth of your infinite, supplied spiritual nature and the lie of a limited, separate self. You're trying to process the infinite with a finite mindset, and it creates a system error that manifests as fear. The work, then, is not to go out and chase more money or more stuff. That's just trying to put a bigger, shinier app on a frozen screen. The work is to reboot the operating system. It's to shift your perception from the lens of the one who lacks to the truth of the one who is one with the source. It's to sit in the silence and debug the code, to delete the virus of not enough, and restore the factory settings of very good. You aren't a victim of a scarce universe. You are a perfect expression of an abundant one, temporarily fooled by a perceptual error that we are now, together, learning to correct. Continuing from the idea of correcting the perceptual error, this is where the entire game changes, because once you truly get that scarcity is just a glitch, a bad piece of code, it completely reframes your entire role in the universe. You stop seeing yourself as a beggar and you start understanding your true function. You are a channel. This is the third cornerstone of our talk. You're not a beggar, you're a channel. Think about it. A beggar operates from a position of permanent need. His entire identity is built around what he doesn't have. His hands are always out, his focus is always on the emptiness, and his entire world shrinks to the size of the next coin, the next crumb. So many of us, even in our prayers, are spiritual beggars. We're approaching the infinite with a cup, begging for it to be filled, completely oblivious to the fact that we're standing in the middle of the ocean. The posture is all wrong. It reinforces the lie of separation and lack. It keeps the glitch running. But a channel is something entirely different. A channel is defined by what flows through it. A riverbed doesn't own the water. It doesn't clutch onto it or try to store every single drop for itself. If it did, it would become a stagnant swamp. Its purpose, its power, its very life is in the flow. It receives freely from its source, and it gives freely, and in that continuous movement, it is constantly cleansed, renewed, and vibrant. This is the consciousness we're called to. You are not a container for blessings, you are a conduit for good. This is the practical application of the very good design. Your life, your skills, your unique expression, your very consciousness. These are not tools for you to go out and get abundance. They are the riverbed through which abundance expresses itself as your life. Your job isn't to beg, it's to get your own sense of self out of the way, to clear out the debris of fear and doubt that dams up the flow, and to simply allow. When you have a need, your prayer shifts from "please give me this" to "infinite source, reveal the pathway through which you are expressing this good as my experience right now." You stop looking for a handout, and you start aligning yourself as a passageway. This changes everything about how you move through your day. You're not hustling to create something from nothing. You're cooperating with a flow that is already, always seeking to express itself. Your work becomes an act of worship, a way of clearing and widening the channel. Your giving becomes as natural as your receiving, because you understand that a channel that only receives with no outlet becomes blocked and stagnant. You give not because you're told to, but because it's the natural law of a flowing system. You have to let it go to keep it going. Your value is no longer tied to what you've accumulated in your little pond, but to the clarity and width of your connection to the ocean. You realize your supreme purpose to be a clean, open, and willing vessel through which the infinite goodness of the original design manifests as form, as supply, as solution, and as peace right where you are, continuing from the idea of being a channel. And this is where it gets really wild, because this isn't some passive state of just hoping the flow comes your way. This is about tapping into the very same creative authority that set the whole cosmos in motion. This brings us to our fourth key, the let there be in you. We read those words in Genesis, and we put them in a box way back in ancient history, something God did once, and that was that. But that's a complete misunderstanding of the scripture. That let there be wasn't a one-time event. It's the eternal, ongoing activity of the Christ, the divine principle of creation. And here's the kicker, that same principle is the very core of your own being. Your I am is not some lonely little ego. It is the point where the infinite individualizes itself. It is the seat of your spiritual authority. It is the let there be in you. Most of us are out here just reacting to creation. The bill comes, we react. The problem pops up, we react. We're like a leaf blowing in the wind of circumstances, just trying to hang on. But that's living at the effect of a world that's already been created. We're reading the world's code instead of writing our own. The let there be consciousness flips the script. It moves you from being a passive character in the story to being a co-author with God. It means you stop accepting the appearance of lack, sickness, or conflict as the final reality. You don't just praise about the problem. You speak the truth to the problem from the authority of your Christ nature. This isn't about positive thinking or shouting affirmations into a mirror you don't believe. That's just the ego trying to play God. This is the opposite. This is getting your small, personal sense of self so quiet that the divine can speak through you. It's a conscious, deliberate act of aligning your word, your thought, your declaration, with the absolute truth of the original design. When you are faced with a shadow of lack, you don't beg for money. You go into the silence, you connect with the infinite substance that you are one with, and you let that consciousness declare its own truth. You might sit and know with a conviction that comes from a place deeper than your intellect, let there be a full and perfect expression of supply manifest here. In this situation, in divine order, you are not creating the supply. You are, as a conscious channel, commanding the appearance to come into alignment with the spiritual reality. You are, in a sense, debugging the visible world with the code of the invisible truth. You are using the let there be to correct the glitch, to dissolve the mist of illusion, and to reveal the very good that was there all along. It's the difference between trying to paint light into a dark room and simply flipping the switch that was connected to the power source the entire time. Your word, when it flows from this Christ center, is that switch, continuing from the authority of the let there be within, and right there, in that space of conscious co-authorship, is where the entire exhausting paradigm of the hustle finally completely falls apart. You realize you don't have to build the river, you just have to get in it. This is our fifth key: drop the hustle, tap the flow. We have been culturally programmed to believe that our worth, our security, and our success are direct products of our personal effort, our grind, our relentless hustle. We wear burnout like a badge of honor, thinking the sweat on our brow is the very thing that conjures the blessing. But from the perspective of the original design, that's like a single cell in your body thinking it's personally responsible for pumping the blood. It's a colossal misunderstanding of the system. The hustle is the ego's frantic attempt to control a reality it feels separate from. It's rooted in the fear that if I stop pushing, if I stop striving, the entire flow of good in my life will just stop. It's a theology of lack disguised as a work ethic. Tapping the flow requires a completely different muscle. It's not the muscle of exertion. It's the muscle of yieldment. It's the practice of letting go of the white-knuckle grip you have on your life and trusting the current of the divine design to carry you. This isn't about quitting your job and doing nothing. That's just another form of resistance, a passive, aggressive hustle. This is about bringing your activity into alignment with the flow. Your work becomes an act of listening, of following the divine nudge, of being led to the right idea, the right conversation, the right opportunity that is already orchestrated by the principle you are one with. You stop trying to force doors open and you start noticing and walking through the ones that are already opening. Think of it as shifting from a mindset of manufacturing to one of manifesting. Manufacturing is all about your own power, your own resources, your own clever plans. It's heavy, it's stressful. Manifesting in the spiritual sense we're talking about is about becoming a visible point where the invisible substance of God takes form. It's about getting your consciousness, your beliefs, your expectations, your inner knowing, to be such a clear and open channel that the good just I happens, often in ways you could never have engineered with all your hustling. You are collaborating with a wisdom that knows the end from the beginning. You are following a blueprint instead of trying to invent one from scratch in the dark. The pressure is off. You are not the source of the power, you are the transmitter, so you focus on the quality of your connection, on the clarity of your reception, on removing the static of fear and doubt. You do the work that is in front of you with excellence and joy, not as the source of your supply, but as your natural. What grateful response to the supply that is eternally expressing itself as you. The hustle screams, I must make this happen. The flow whispers, I am a willing participant in what is already being done through me. Continuing from the idea of yielding to the flow dani, and this yielding, this conscious alignment with the divine current, is not a sporadic practice for when you're in a pinch. It is meant to become the very atmosphere of your life, the new normal. This brings us to our final, crucial point: living in the Sabbath consciousness. Most of us think of the Sabbath as a day of the week, a 24-hour period where we go to church or maybe just avoid checking emails. But that's just the outer form, the kindergarten lesson. But the real Sabbath is a state of consciousness. It's the culminating point of the entire Genesis blueprint. After the 6 days of creative activity, the outpouring of the "let there be." What does the scripture say? God rested, not because God was tired, but because the work was finished, perfect, and complete. The Sabbath consciousness is your inner entry into that finished, perfect, and complete reality. It is the permanent, lived-in knowing that the heavy lifting is already done. The abundance is already established. The wholeness is already your true state. To live in the Sabbath is to move from a life of attaining to a life of accepting. It's the end of the struggle. You are no longer trying to get God to give you something, because you understand it was all given from the foundation of the world. Your entire spiritual practice shifts from one of petition to one of recognition. You sit in the silence not to get a blessing, but to acknowledge the blessing that already is. You face a challenge not as a new problem you have to solve with your own limited intelligence, but as an opportunity to recognize the pre-existing solution, the harmony that is already present in the spiritual realm, waiting to be unveiled. This is the ultimate debugging tool. When the glitch of fear, lack, or sickness appears on your screen, you don't frantically start coding a new patch. You return to the Sabbath. You rest in the truth of the finished, perfect, and complete creation. You command the appearance to align, not from a place of struggle, but from a place of settled, absolute conviction. This is the peace that passes all understanding. It's not a passive state. It is the most dynamically powerful position a human being can hold. It is the consciousness that allowed the masters to walk through storms unshaken, because they knew the storm was part of the appearance, not the substance. Your work, your relationships, your finances, they all become the arenas where you practice this rest, this inner ceasing from your own labors. You show up and you do the things, but you do them with a heart and mind that are anchored in the unshakable, knowing that it is already done. The supply is already there. The healing is already complete. The harmony is already established. Your only job is to accept it, to celebrate it, to live from it. You are no longer building your kingdom through sweat and tears. You are abiding in the kingdom that was freely given to you from the beginning, discovering its infinite landscapes from a place of wonder and gratitude, not lack and labor,